We're now joined by Don McCabe, Vice President of the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. And Don, we've just witnessed basically the first corn stalk baling demo here in Ontario. And OFA has been a big part of a study that's sort of looking into, I guess, the potential of corn stalks in Ontario, in cellulose ethanol. Tell us about your objectives and what you're trying to achieve.
Our objectives and what we're trying to achieve is to build upon work that we initiated a number of years ago when we were attempting to look at replacing coal and coal-fired plants. And we were going to use a bunch of biomass to do that. That led us to a conclusion. There's a thing called shale gas that's going to, which is a source of natural gas, and therefore we don't need to be in that space. We need to have value from our materials. And in that process of doing that study, we started to look at corn stalks. And the reason we're looking at corn stalks is because as farmers have larger and larger yields of these materials, they have more and more residue out there to deal with. Instead of trying to figure out how to bury that stuff with tillage in a wrong portion of the year and destroying soil quality, we now see the potential for the use of these materials in composites, chemicals, fuels, and then if there's stuff that's left over, then let's make electrons. Because these corn stalks that are here are actually 47% sugar. And the technologies are now evolving out there for us to be able to extract that sugar. But first and foremost, Ontario farmers know it best. They're the stewards of the land. We have to leave residue here that is still here to hold the soil in place and do the next job. And this equipment that you've chronicled here today are going to help us make that happen.
Now, some of these bales, my understanding is like 1,000 of these a day are going through some ethanol plants in Iowa already. Tell us about, I guess, where this technology is now and when it might, take root in Ontario.
So currently there are 3 commercial, and by commercial I mean business world-class facilities that are being built or operational in the United States of America. Last week, actually, in the first week of September, I had the opportunity to be in Poet, DSM's company, in Emmitsburg, Iowa. A little bit, and that's in this northwest corner of Iowa. If you go due north of Des Moines and a little off of Ames routine, you're going to find where DuPont is putting in their plant. And they're going to be using essentially 1,000 bales a day to feed that plant to make commercial ethanol. And then down in Hugoton, Kansas, which is in the southwest corner of Kansas, where they have irrigated corn, that corn can yield from 200 up to 350 bushel the acre because it's irrigated. That's a lot of residue. Those farmers are having those materials removed and taken away for another revenue stream now. And essentially this is adding like $35 to $40, $50 to an acre of land down there. And the revenue comes in, but at the same time you're reducing your tillage, improving soil quality, because the issue here is not about the residue that's on top, it's the issue of keeping the roots in the ground for the organic matter. And that's why we're putting a full package here together. It has to start at the farm has to be sustainable, the company has to be sustainable. That's why the OFA is making sure that we're able to bring answers to Ontario. And in Ontario, we have companies who are actually here today to kick tires literally on this province and look where things are going.
So what do we see? How does that timeline work, Don? Any thought about when this could be reality in Ontario, and how does the work you're doing drive that?
The reality is in Ontario, as we stand here today, there's a company called BioAmber building their first commercial succinic acid plant, and that's a chemical that's used in 50 applications, everything from automobiles to food to aircraft brakes to you name it. And they will use sugar. Now that sugar will come from a corn kernel or a wheat kernel, as it normally does now, or it will come from this source here. So that's one of the off-takers of this sort of thing. So the issue now is what technology partner is out there that we can work with as farmers to move our feedstock to. And this is a process that will evolve over the next few years to get the best business case in place to ensure that farmers are part of the action and just not a commodity taker.
Well, good stuff, Don. Hey, thanks for taking the time today, and we'll follow with interest.
Well, I thank you very much for your interest also, and I really want to put a plug in for the sponsors and the people that made this thing happen today. This particular demo was done by AGCO and Advantage Farm Equipment because they happen to have the equipment right now, and they're very active at Hugoton, Kansas with their collection, and they're working with DuPont and getting things done. And yes, it's an abnormal year where the stalks are a little bit more green than we expected, but today we're getting her done. Thank you, and please stay tuned.
Thank you, sir. Good stuff.
Thank you.